What if the future of work isn't about a 4-day week, but no work at all? Today, we are diving deep into the core philosophy of Elon Musk. It's a worldview that connects everything, from his ambitious plans for X all the way to his pretty startling predictions about a post-work society. And let's just start with this. This isn't some distant sci-fi fantasy. This is a prediction Elon Musk believes is right around the corner. He's not talking about a shorter work week or more vacation. No, he's talking about a future where having a job is basically just a hobby. Now, to really get your head around a concept that radical, we can't just look at his business plans or product roadmaps. We have to go deeper. We have to understand the fundamental philosophy that's actually fueling this entire vision. And this entire worldview, believe it or not, all stems from one single profound question that Musk started wrestling with when he was just a teenager. He was grappling with this exact question, and it plunged him into what he later called an existential crisis when he was about 12 years old. But his search for answers didn't lead him to religion. It led him to a very different and pretty surprising source of inspiration. So Musk found his philosophical guide in a really unlikely place, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Now, if you know the book, a supercomputer figures out that the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42. But the problem is, nobody knows what the original question was. And from this, Musk pulled out a really profound conclusion. The universe itself is the answer. Humanity's real job is to figure out what are the right questions to ask about it. And this brings us to the absolute core of his mission. It's not really about building companies. It's about expanding consciousness. He uses this analogy of a spaceship. You know, one person can't build it, but a collective of people can. The key, though, is the quality of the information flowing between them. The better that flow, the more amazing the things we can achieve. And this philosophy directly, and I mean directly, shapes his vision for X. He doesn't see it as just another social media platform. He sees it as an essential tool for creating this collective consciousness. He believes that for humanity to really operate and think on a planetary scale, it needs a kind of central nervous system, a global town square where information can flow freely, allowing all of us to think and act more like a cohesive whole. But to build this town square, he felt the platform he bought, Twitter, needed a complete philosophical overhaul. He argued that it was amplifying a pretty narrow ideology. So his goal for X is to create a balanced platform that follows local laws everywhere without trying to impose its own bias on top of them. So he's equipping the platform with tools specifically designed to improve that flow of information. Things like secure calls and automatic translation. These aren't just random features. They're his attempts to break down the barriers between people, to make that collective consciousness truly global. Okay, so this vision of a connected humanity amplified by technology, well, this is what leads to his most radical prediction of all, a total transformation of how we all live and work. You see, for Musk, the whole 9-to-5 thing isn't the final chapter. It's just a temporary stop. We evolved from a constant struggle just to survive into this structured work week we have now. So what's the next logical leap? A world where work is totally optional. And he is not talking about some distant future. He's confident this is going to happen within most of our lifetimes. He's actually challenged people to check back with him in 20 years, which tells you how certain he is about this prediction. But this change is way more profound than just the end of jobs. It's about reaching a singularity. That's a point of change so immense that, kind of like a black hole's event horizon, we literally can't predict what's on the other side. Just try to imagine a world of universal abundance where anything you can think of can be created on demand. Okay, so if you thought that was wild, this whole line of thinking about consciousness and technology, it leads to an even more mind-bending conclusion about the very nature of our reality itself. Musk uses a simple, logical argument here. He says, look, just 50 years ago, video games were Pong, 2 rectangles and a dot. Today, they are photorealistic, immersive worlds. So if you just follow that trend line, eventually simulations will be completely indistinguishable from reality. So statistically, what are the odds that we are in the one original base reality? And then he adds this fascinating, almost Darwinian layer to it. What happens to boring simulations? Well, they get turned off. So the very fact that our reality is so complex and interesting is, in his view, evidence that it was designed to keep the simulation running. The most interesting path forward is therefore the most likely one to be real. So, wow, that's a huge cosmic vision. But how does any of this translate into actual practical advice for people who want to build things today?
His advice completely reframes what entrepreneurship is all about. It's not a hunt for money. It's about making a contribution to the collective. It's about creating real value.
So, the ultimate takeaway here is really a shift in perspective. Don't chase the money. Instead, focus on creating products and services that are genuinely useful. When you actually succeed in adding value to society, money just follows. It's a natural byproduct. From this point of view, entrepreneurship isn't just about profit, it's about contributing to the whole human project.
In the end, Musk's blueprint is less about technology and more about a fundamental challenge to how we see our purpose. It's really a call to think beyond profit margins and quarterly earnings and to consider our role in a much, much grander story, which leaves us all with a pretty critical question to ponder.